Tomorrow, Mark Carney enters the Oval Office, not as a pressured man, but as a prime minister with command. Because let's be clear, the actual story isn't what's going to take place tomorrow in Washington. It's what Carney has done already. Trump has been shouting for months. Tariffs, threats, and his go-to talking point, making Canada the 51st state. But while Trump has been talking, Carney has been winning. And now, on the eve of their gathering, news from Washington indicates that Trump will soon lift tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum. A huge turnaround many argue could not have happened without Carney's discipline, determination, and unassuming strategic brilliance. He refused to cave to pressure. He refused to pursue a deal. He waited for Trump to wake up to what he ought to have realized in the first place. That Canada has the cards. Trump's tariffs were supposed to be a warning. What they revealed instead is a fact. It is plain. Canada is not a junior partner. It's the backbone of North American trade. Canadian steel constructs American bridges. Canadian aluminum drives American cars. Canadian resources feed American industries, and all U.S. states stand to lose when Canada rises. That's the economic fact that Trump has at last confronted. The tariffs didn't damage Canada. They damaged American businesses, American workers, and American exporters who depend on Canadian supply chains. And now, at the 11th hour before Carney's arrival, Trump's people are scrambling to salvage face, indicating that tariffs will likely be removed soon.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is headed back to Washington for his second high-stakes Oval Office meeting. The last one was cordial.
Canada's a very special place to me. I know so many people that live in Canada.
But in the 5 months since, U.S. President Donald Trump has only ramped up the trade pressure on Canada, adding new tariffs and hiking others. Canada has been fighting behind the scenes ahead of the visit. Senior government officials tell CBC News there is optimism about a breakthrough on the punishing steel and aluminum tariffs.
The real story is how Mark Carney orchestrated it. In a city where noise dominates every decision, Carney moved with quiet precision. He didn't rely on grandstanding or flashy press conferences. Every action, every meeting, every word was calculated with strategy, leverage, and impeccable timing. While Washington growled and brayed, Carney moved stealthily to expand trade alliances with Europe and Asia, buttressing Canada's economy and making it not only stable but competitive on the world stage. The White House, world leaders, and even Trump himself came to notice something irrefutable. Canada is more than a trading partner. It's a power broker whose influence cannot be discounted. As the numbers finally began to tell the actual story, reality became impossible to ignore. Trump didn't buckle under pressure. He got outplayed. And the game changer came a day before Carney departed for Washington, when he met with Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. That meeting wasn't a photo op. It was a message louder than any press release. Washington might have secretly hoped to take advantage of Canada's internal factionalism, but side by side, Carney and Smith dispelled that notion in an instant. Potentially a provincial tale, it became a national declaration of unity, power, and unity. All of a sudden, Canada wasn't merely defending itself. It was demonstrating to the world that its provinces move as one when the sovereignty of the country is in question.
The Premier is coming just from a very successful short trip to Montreal, to Quebec, and a series of important meetings. It's very fortunate we're going to have time to discuss. We have a lot to discuss, part of ongoing discussions, how we are going to build Canada as an energy superpower, how we're building together, a huge range of exciting opportunities there, but also a wider range of issues, learnings from Alberta. We talked last time, for example, on progress that Alberta is making in treating addictions and others, and how we could potentially spread that across the country. So fortunate to have this opportunity, and I look forward to it. Awesome.
That handshake, that encounter, it was more than symbolism. Trump had months of effort put into portraying Canada as a fractured federation, a loose collection of rival provinces with no unifying vision. It turned out here was Alberta, Canada's energy hub, completely on board with Ottawa's national agenda. The message: division isn't weakness. It's strength, if done with precision. Carney and Smith didn't talk politics. They talked purpose. They promoted energy independence, leadership in transition, and Canada as a global innovation force. The energy was unmistakable. All the provinces marching in concert made Canada unstoppable. Trump's bullying efforts to split the nation had not worked. Carney's response was unity, serenity, assurance, and an unbreakable commitment. This is the power Carney will bring into the Oval Office. Tomorrow, not political power, but the support of a nation unwilling to be bullied. While the attention has turned towards Washington, the stakes are as high as they can get. Trump's strategy was simple: use tariffs as leverage, bully Canada into submission, and assert authority. But Carney didn't follow the same playbook. His move was subtle, strategic, and clinically effective. By diversifying trade, stabilizing local industries, and shifting public opinion in Canada's favor, he made the tariffs nearly irrelevant. Each American company feeling the squeeze, each worker relying on Canadian supply chains, each DC political calculation, each of these began to change in response to Carney's masterful strategy. And in a surprise turn of events that few foresaw, just as Trump was looking for Canada to come knocking asking for concessions, it's the United States taking the first step. Each move mattered. Carney's skill at outmaneuvering the White House without raising the stakes showed a level of finesse uncommon in contemporary diplomacy. It wasn't showdown or meltdown that characterized his approach, it was subtle, calculated pressure that gave Trump no choice but to fall back. And as the Oval Office meeting drew near, the world hung its collective breath, waiting to see which direction the balance of power would lean. Carney's message was soon to be given in person. Canada does not request coddling. Canada does not need approval. Canada charts its own course. And still, in the midst of this seeming dominance, anticipation filled the air. How would Trump react in the room? Would the president see the reality Carney had been illustrating all along, that bullying Canada was not possible? The response was about to become visible before our eyes. But the suspense was intentional, each hesitation, each handshake, each look suffused with meaning.
It is a time to be optimistic. I see motion in all the right directions.
This expert on Canada-U.S. relations expects Carney to leave D.C. having made some progress.
I think they will have something to announce, and it's going to be something that the president will be broadly supportive of, and he will be glad to have someone of Mark Carney's.
This was not merely politics. This was a masterclass in leadership, diplomacy, and vision. It had taken Carney and turned potential threat into strategic advantage, transmuted political static into economic clarity. Provinces rallied, industries consolidated, and a nation once underestimated now projecting itself on the global stage. Each step along the way to the Oval Office meeting was a measured crescendo, ratcheting up curiosity. What would Carney do next? How much would the U.S. bend under this intangible but inexorable pressure? By the time the meeting took place, the question had been answered: Canada's patience, solidarity, and strategic nuance had already prepared the ground for victory. The day of reckoning had come. Trump's strategy of wielding tariffs like a club was now disintegrating, not due to pressure, not due to media coverage, but because Carney had outwitted the White House step by step. Canada's diversified trade, stable domestic industry, and expanding global partnerships had made the tariffs useless. In a dramatic about-face, the country that had attempted to use its will against Canada was now knocking first, looking for a way forward. All calculation, all strategy, all expectation out of Washington had changed without any public confrontation. This is what a masterstroke's like: no breakdown, no meltdown, just calculated precision that leaves the other side with no option but retreat. When Carney enters the Oval Office, it will not be to beg for concessions. It will be to announce through action and presence that Canada doesn't need approval. Trump has discovered a simple truth: power isn't brash. It's persistent. It's credible. It's calm. And Carney has it in spades. All American observers, all world leaders, all Canadians who watch recognize it now. The country once underrated stands united, assured, and unbreakable. The stakes are charged. What will happen in that room? How will Trump react to a leader who doesn't bluff, who doesn't yell, and who doesn't get frantic under fire? The anticipation is almost palpable, because Canada's patient game has built to a crescendo. Carney has transformed threats into victories, political din into economic lucidity, and provincial unity into an emblem of national strength. Alberta's petrofuel, Ontario's factory floor, Quebec's manufacturing base, all under the guidance of a vision that makes Canada invulnerable. And when the summit is over, history will record this wasn't an equality struggle. It was a masterclass in strategy, leadership, and vision, imparted with calm confidence. Canada does not plead. Canada won't negotiate from weakness. Canada will lead and the Oval Office will hear it loud and clear. The world will see a nation that's played the long game and succeeded. A country that's reset what leadership means on the world stage. And a strategist who respects through patient intelligence and unity. Will Trump finally abandon the tariffs? How will Carney's strategy reframe Canada-US relations in the future? The responses are about to be revealed, and the drama is hardly finished. Don't forget to subscribe for complete coverage and live updates because whatever transpires in Washington, one thing is sure, Carney is walking in with the upper hand and the world is watching.